Let's call the meeting to order with pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, there's a few housekeeping items. So this is a public hearing, and the way that it's going to be ran is Chad from Planning and Zoning will present the ordinance and explain where the recommendations came from. After the presentation, the attendees will have a chance to comment. I do have a written comment that was submitted to me for reading, so I will read it at that point in time also. During the public hearing, please direct all comments to the board. We kindly ask that there be no back and forth between audience members. Each attendee will be allowed one comment with a maximum speaking time of 3 minutes. Please note that time cannot be transferred to another person. The attorney will address legal questions while Chad or another member of the P&Z may respond to P&Z related queries if they arise. Personal attacks directed toward another person, board, or commission will not be tolerated, nor will heckling, and you will be asked to leave. When you do step up to speak for your 3 minutes, over here to the right, your left probably. Please clearly state your name, address, and the county that you're from. Thank you. Oh, and there are several ordinances spread out, about 100 of them on the chair, so please feel free, if you don't have one, grab a copy. With that being said, and I ask for a motion to open up the public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
John first, the public hearing, and please wait a second. All in favor? Aye. All right, Chad?
Okay, that's, everybody can hear me? Okay, thank you. First and foremost, give you a little bit of a history of how we got here tonight. And I give the same document to the Bulletin Journal, Chris, and the 3 board members. But we're going on 2 years from when Mr. Mark Trumbauer from Next Era Energy visited my office about potentially 67 to 70 wind turbine applications being submitted and constructed with the fall start date 2023. P&Z Commission discussion began to ensure all industries and landowner applications are evaluated in the same manner. On June 21st, 2022, the Board of Health meeting, Beatty reported to the Board of Health about the potential Next Era's energy wind project, the process which the applications would need to follow per our existing ordinance, and potential nuisance claims the county would need to address before, during, and after the project from Buchanan County residents. Then on July 7th, 2022, at the P&Z meeting, discussion and motions were included concerning amendments and recommendations to the WECS ordinance needing to be similar to the recent solar ordinance recommendations which had previously been submitted to the P&Z Commission. Then on August 29th, 2022, those recommendations were approved 2-0, Fort Shonka voting in favor. Gissel was not present. September 6th, 2022, approved 3-0, Fort, Gissel, and Shonka, all approving. September 12th, 2022, denied 3-0, Fort, Gissel, and Shonka, with the request to have zoning administrator Beatty work with the P&Z Commission to remove the manufacturing district requirement and increase the CSR level to 71 CSR. Then November 14th, 2022, original amendment proposal was presented to the Board of Supervisors for a second time. Vote 2-1, Fort, Gissel, yes. Shonka no was made to reject the P&Z Commission proposal. February 1st, 2023, Next Era Energy presented to the P&Z Commission. April 20th, 23, Bob Q presented WECS concerns to the Board of Health. April 24, 2023, Next Era Energy presented in Brandon, Iowa, here at this location. May 15, 2023, Board of Supervisors voted to place a moratorium on any WECS projects for 1 year. May 17, 2023, Next Era Energy presented in Raleigh. July 24th, 2023, Next Era Energy presented in Jessup, Iowa. August 2nd, 2023, Citizens United presented to the P&Z Commission. Continuing to August 21st, 2023, Board of Supervisors voted 2-1 in favor of appointing the P&Z Commission to review and update the existing WECS ordinance, which was originally adopted on September 14, 2020. September 6, 2023, P&Z Commission began reviewing pages 30 through 37 of the existing WECS ordinance. November 1st, 2023, P&Z Commission reviewed pages 30 through 33 of the existing WECS ordinance. December 6, 2023, P&Z Commission reviewed pages 35 through 37 of the existing WECS ordinance. December 28, P&Z Commission WECS amendment recommendations, revisions, agendas, meeting minutes were presented to the County Attorney's Office. January 25th, County Attorney's Office responded with revisions, edits, and comments for the P&Z Commission. March 6, 2024, P&Z Commission reviewed WECS amendment comments, revisions, and edits from the Assistant County Attorney. April 3rd, the final revisions and edits of the proposed WECS amendments by the P&Z Commission. Prior to the last WECS revision meeting, the zoning department heard 22 individuals' comments that day or that week. 19 were in support of the P&Z WECS amendments, that's 86.4%. 2 were against the P&Z WECS amendments, 9.1%. 1 was neutral, 4.5%. A petition with over 800 signatures in support of the P&Z WECS amendments has been presented to our office and the P&Z Commission. April 8, 2024, Board of Supervisors voted to extend the WECS moratorium another year to May 15, 2025. April 8, 2024, final revisions and edits of the 4/3/24 minutes were sent to Assistant County Attorney Josh Dwight for his review. April 11, 2024, final proposed WECS amendments sent to the Auditor and Board of Supervisors to set the public hearings, which we began this evening. April 29, 2024, WECS amendments public hearings were set for the following dates. Tonight, May 15, 24, at the Brandon Community Center, 7 p.m. Second reading, May 22nd, 2024, at the Brandon Community Center at 7 p.m. And May 29th, 2024, at the Brandon Community Center at 7 p.m. So I appreciate your attention to that. Gets us through this evening. And again, I will, as I read through, those in the audience that have a black and white version, the issues or the amendments that are in bolded black, you can refer to as I read those. We will go page by page in regards to the amendments that were voted unanimously and recommended unanimously by our P&Z body. So on page 1, the first item that was added, preservation of property rights. This was taken from page 53 of the Buchanan County Comprehensive Plan. States objectives: A, it is recognized that the establishment of policies regulating the use of land is a community issue. Adequate input monitoring from local citizens and agencies must be considered during the comprehensive planning period. B, to encourage the continued utilization of Chapter 335.2 Code of Iowa, County Zoning Farm Exemption. This section provides for deregulation of farmland, farmhouses, farm barns, and other farm structures from county zoning. This may be used as an incentive to help the preservation of the farming industry. As we move down to definitions, under commercial WECS, A was changed and is added: energy production, wind project WECS, one or more WECS located together or used for production of electric power to be interconnected into the local utility grid and primarily for consumption by on-grid utility customers located off the property. Under number 4, non-commercial WECS, A, Single-use residential WECS, a single WECS on an individual lot or parcel used to produce energy primarily for residential consumption on the property where the WECS is located. Both of those items were taken from Polk County, page 1, letter E, and minutes from the P&Z Commission on 11/1, page 6. And I will continue to reference those as I read through each page. Moving on to page 2. Again, these are referenced from Polk County, page 1, letters A, B, C, and D, and minutes of 11/1, page 6. Shared residential production WECS. WECS used for residential consumption that is shared by more than one property owner and placed within an easement area on private property. A common area, jointly owned property within a development. C, single-use non-residential production WECS. One or more WECS used to produce energy primarily for non-residential property where the WECS is located. And D, shared non-residential production WECS. WECS used for non-residential consumption that is shared by more than one property owner and placed within the easement area on private property, a common area, jointly owned property within a development. Moving on to definitions, number 5. This was taken from minutes on 11/1, page 11. Fall zone, the area defined as the furthest distance from the tower base in which a guide or non-guide tower will collapse in the event of a structural failure. This area should not be less than 1.5 times the total height of a WECS tower. Refer to table 2. Moving on to number 12, definitions. This was taken from Chickasaw County, page 3, letter T, and also from minutes 11/1, page 15 of our P&Z Commission. Shadow flicker shall mean the visible flicker effect when rotating turbine blades cast shadows on the ground or nearby structures, causing a repeating pattern of light and shadow. Moving down to 14. For the supervisors is in green, for the audience is in bold. The maximum total height of a commercial WECS shall be no more than 600 feet. Refer to table 2. Moving on to page 3, number 18, public conservation lands. This was taken from Buchanan County, page 31, number 17. Land owned and fee titled by state or federal agencies and managed specifically for conservation purposes, including but not limited to state wildlife management areas, state parks, state scientific and natural areas, federal wildlife refuges, waterfowl production areas, county parks, county trails, city parks, city trails. For the purposes of this section, public conservation lands will also include land owned and fee titled by non-profit conservation organizations. Moving down the page to applicability, C. These were taken from minutes 11/1, page 13 and 14. Minutes on 3/6/24 on page 7. It shall be unlawful to construct, erect, install, alter, or locate any WECS within unincorporated Buchanan County without rezoning the area of the proposed site to the manufacturing district and after being authorized by the Buchanan County Board of Supervisors in a public hearing. Number 2, the rezoning process would include transition to the manufacturing district with a restriction to include wind energy generation and any adjoining crop farming application which may apply. Moving down to procedures. Number 3, manufacturing requests from minutes 11/1, page 13 and 14. Rezoning or map amendment shall be applied for and reviewed under the procedures established in section 16A, 17L, and 23M of this ordinance, except where noted below. Moving down to Roman numeral 12, Applicant must provide a third-party acoustical analysis and a third-party shadow filter analysis from a firm who is agreed upon by both Buchanan County and the applicant. Acoustic and shadow filter analysis shall be performed at the nearest point of each adjoining and adjacent property line to the base of the tower, unless that property in question is under a waiver as described in Section E, District Regulations. This was a request for minutes of 11-1, page 15, and also reviewed by County Attorney Josh White, which researched by myself, Amber Lorenzen, and Josh White came from Dixon County, Sioux County, Grundy County, and then the North Iowa Council of Governments. Moving down to the decommissioning plan, which includes agreement of 100% removal. That came from the minutes of 11-1, page 15. Moving on to district regulations. Number 1, WECS may be permitted as a principal permitted use in the manufacturing district as set forth in section 16 of this ordinance, so long as bulk requirements and setback requirements are addressed. Said bulk requirements are shown in table 2 below. That request was from 11-1, page 13 and 14 of the planning and zoning minutes. Number 2, WECS may only be constructed in areas that are rated less than 55 CSR. Only areas rated less than 55 CSR may be considered for rezoning and land use change. This wording and recommendation was added by the Assistant County Attorney and communicated by Josh White in 4/9 of 24. The next is the WECS table 2 that is referred to several comments that I've already made previous. So what I will do here is I'm going to go left to right, but the first one I'll go down. So the first one will be wind turbine, non-commercial, micro WECS, and I'm going to go through all of them going vertically from top to bottom. These were all from minutes on 9/6 of a planning and zoning commission. Property lines, 1.5 times height per a certified engineer. Neighboring dwellings, 1.5 times height per certified engineer, or may be waived by the dwelling occupant or owner. Right-of-way is 1.5 times height per certified engineer. Other right-of-ways, railroads, power lines, etc., 1.5 times height per certified engineer. Public conservation lands manages grasslands, public conservation lands, bike trails, parks, state, federal, county, and city lands. 1 mile or 5,280 feet for the IDNR recommendations. And I also supplied you with that document, which we had been given for those conversations that happened with the P&Z Commission. Wetlands, not applicable. Other structures, 1.5 times height per certified engineer. Other existing WECS, not applicable. Cemeteries, 1/2 mile. Any city limits, 1 mile. Height restrictions, 200 feet maximum height. And again, just understand that what we just read was wind turbine, non-commercial, micro WECS. Moving left to right, wind turbine, non-commercial WECS. 1.5 times the height per certified engineer, 1.5 times the height per certified engineer, 1.5 times the height per certified engineer covers property lines, neighboring dwellings, and road right-of-ways. Other right-of-ways, railroads and power lines, 1.5 times the height per certified engineer. Public conservation lands is grasslands, public conservation lands, bike trails, parks, state, federal, county, and city lands. 1 mile or 5,280 feet per IDNR recommendations. Wetlands not applicable. Other structures, 1.5 times the height per certified engineer. Other existing WECS not applicable. Cemeteries, 1/2 mile. Any city limits, 1 mile. Height restrictions, 200 feet maximum height. Moving left to right, wind turbine commercial WECS. Property lines, 1.5 times the height for certified engineer. Neighboring dwellings, 4.5 times the height for a certified engineer. Road right-of-ways, 1.5 times the height for a certified engineer. Other right-of-ways, railroad lines, or railroad power lines, etc., 1.5 times the height for a certified engineer. Public conservation lands, manages grasslands, public conservation lands, bike trails, parks, state, federal, county, and city lands, 2 miles, 10,560 feet per IDNR recommendations. Wetlands not applicable, other structures, 1.5 times the height for a certified engineer. Other existing WECS to be determined through the CUP review based on the relative size of existing proposed WECS, and this stays the same as what's in our existing ordinance. Cemeteries, half mile, any city limits, 2 miles. Height restrictions, 600 feet maximum height. Moving to the right, for Met Towers, property lines, 1.5 times the height per certified engineer. Neighboring dwellings, 1.5 times the height per certified engineer. Road right-of-ways, 1.5 times the height for a certified engineer. Other right-of-ways, railroad, power lines, etc., 1.5 times per certified engineer. Public conservation lands, manages grasslands, public conservation lands, bike trails, parks, state, federal, county, and city lands, 1 mile, 5,280 feet per IDNR recommendations. Wetlands not applicable, other structures, 1.5 times the height for certified engineer. Other existing WECS stays the same as our current ordinance. Cemeteries, half mile, any city limits, 1 mile, height restrictions, 200 feet maximum height. As I move down below table 2, in some of the fine print, all costs associated will be at the applicant's expense. No cost will be assumed by Buchanan County, Iowa. Notwithstanding the above in table 2, the setback for dwellings shall be reciprocal in that no dwelling shall be constructed within 4.5 times the total height of a commercial wind turbine unless a release of the liability is received from the WECS landowner and contractor. Moving on to page 7.
Did you have where you got these?
Yes, I do. So the originals from the table 2 I stated was from the 9/6 P&Z minutes. The fine print down at the bottom are from the minutes on 9/6, page 6, with the attorney wording added later. Also noted at page 5 on the minutes of 9/6. And then also minutes on 3/6/2024 on page 15.
I was just wondering, you got the setbacks from the counties, from which counties?
They were taken from, I would have to read through every P&Z minute, but they are printed. Anybody that's followed our meeting minutes are pretty detailed in regards to which counties everything came from. I read some of them today, but they're always available at my office or on the website in regards to some of the meeting minutes and where things came from. Page 7, going down to height standard, letter C. Commercial WECS shall be in compliance with section 16D above, as well as setback requirements as outlined in table 2. In any circumstance where the requirements are difficult to interpret, table 2 is in this ordinance will take precedence. Security, this was taken from Winona County, page 75 and 76 minutes, 12/6, page 4. Climbing apparatus, all external climbing apparatus for accessory WECS shall be located at least 8 foot above the ground, and the tower must be designed to prevent climbing within the 8 feet, the first 8 feet. B, fencing, to limit access to the tower, a non-climbing fence 6 foot high with a lock gate shall be installed around the WECS at the discretion and expense of the owner and or operator. At the bottom, there's one small change in number 7, other signage. After company name and or logo, the word shall was placed. And it reads, shall be placed upon the nacelle of the WECS. This was added in the 3-6 minutes of the P&Z body. Moving on to page 8. These were taken from the P&Z minutes on December 6th, page 4. One sign limited to 4 square feet shall be posted at the base of each tower. The sign shall include a notice of no trespassing, a warning of high voltage, and the phone number of the owner and operator to call in case of an emergency. B, each entrance to a wind turbine project shall include a notice of restriction to authorized personnel, a warning of high voltage, and the phone number of the owner and operator in case of an emergency. C, each driveway will be given a 911 address by Buchanan County, and each WECS at that address will be given a unique letter or number for the purpose of identification. Moving down to number 10, these were taken from the P&Z minutes on 12/6 on page 12. Impacts on public infrastructure, reimbursement of all costs related to excessive wear and tear to any public infrastructure such as, but not limited to, county roads and bridges, any highway systems, stormwater management related improvement and or public utilities that are caused by the construction, maintenance, or removal of any WECS projects. Any incurred expenses shall be reimbursed to affected local governments. A determination shall be made by the zoning administrator after consultation with the county engineer and the board of supervisors to establish that excessive wear and tear or damage has occurred and to estimate the cost of repair for said work. Any damages to any haul routes as determined by the county engineer shall be reimbursed to the local government affected and shall be billed to the corporation or company owning said WECS and to be paid within 45 days of issuance and may be subject to late charges, interest, or penalties as allowed by law. Also, all haul routes shall be reviewed and approved by the county engineer on use of any rural county roads prior to construction, maintenance, or removal of any WECS. In order to review proposed haul routes and or work locations, WECS owners and or their contractors shall contact the county engineer a minimum of 6 months prior to starting any work within the county. Moving down to discontinuation and decommissioning, 11A. This was pulled together from Polk County, page 6, number 22-10-1A, and Chickasaw County, page 10, number 6. The removal, discontinuance, decommissioning of any WECS shall be the sole responsibility of WECS device facility owner and or operator with 100% removal, including any expenses related to the release of any easements. Moving on to page 9. These next 5 items were from minutes of December 6th, page 14, Chickasaw County, page 10. C, the cost estimates shall be made by a competent party such as a licensed third party, a contractor capable of decommissioning, or a person with suitable expertise or experience with decommissioning wind turbine projects. Letter D, the plan shall also identify the financial resources that will be available to pay for the decommissioning and the removal of WECS and accessory facilities and access roads. Letter E, the site shall be stabilized, graded, and cleared of any and all debris by the owner of the WECS device facility or its assigns. An optional agreement may be included in their contract between the owner and contractor recorded with the county. Letter F, any access roads shall be removed, cleared, and graded by the owner of the WECS device facility or its assigns unless the owner of the parent parcel desires to keep the access road in place. Buchanan County at no time will be assumed to take ownership or maintenance of any access road unless through a official action by the Board of Supervisors. Letter G, Buchanan County will require financial security in the form of a cash escrow, a revocable letter of credit, or performance bond of 130% of the decommissioning value to ensure that the decommissioning process of commercial WECS is completed as required in this subdivision, and all documents will be reviewed by the county auditor every 3 years. This was a combination of minutes of 12/6, page 16 and 17 bond amount from the county attorney, minutes of December 6th, page 13 of Chickasaw County, page 9. We'll be moving down to ownership and management changes. Number 12, letter A, written notification shall be given to the zoning administrator and county auditor upon the change of ownership of a WECS. 12B, the owner of a WECS shall give notice in writing to the zoning administrator of any change in their on-site management. Moving down to letter G, other applicable standards. Number 1, noise, taken from December 6th, P&Z minutes, page 17. Noise shall not exceed 50 decibels. Moving down to number 5, interference, taken from December 6th meeting minutes, page 17. Interference, the applicant shall minimize or mitigate interference of electromagnetic communications such as radio, cell phone, telephone, microwaves, or television signals caused by any WECS. The applicant shall notify all communication tower operators within 2 miles of a proposed WECS location upon application to the county for permits. No WECS shall be constructed so as to interfere with county or Iowa Department of Transportation microwave transmissions. Moving on to page 10. These were taken from meeting minutes 12/6, page 10, Cassuth County, page 13. Condemnation waiver, letter A. Issuance of a WECS construction permit shall be conditioned on the permit holder's enforceable promise supported by the consideration of an issuance of a WECS construction permit that the permit holder shall never use or seek to use eminent domain to acquire any real property interest to construct or operate this project. Letter B, in any action brought by the county against the permit holder of a WECS construction permit to enforce the provisions of this ordinance, the county shall be entitled to recover its reasonable attorney fees and court costs as may be awarded by the decision-making tribunal. Moving down to number 9, county attorney wording is where this came from to review the amounts that were listed. Insurance, the owner and operator of the WECS shall provide a certificate of insurance prior to receiving the zoning permit. The owner or operator shall maintain the current general liability policy covering bodily injury and property damage with the limits of at least $3 million per occurrence and $3 million of aggregate, and file that with the Buchanan County auditor at each renewal period. Number 10, these were taken from minutes of December 6th, page 20, and also Grundy County, page 34, 13C and D. Number 10, severability clause. If any of the provisions of this ordinance are for any reason found to be illegal or void, then the lawful provisions of this ordinance, which are separate from said unlawful provisions, shall be and remain in full force and effect, the same as if this ordinance contained no illegal or void provisions. Number 11, repealer. This ordinance takes precedence over any previous copy or draft specified for commercial WECS in the Buchanan County Development Zoning ordinances. All ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. So my last comment would be, I would just like to thank the planning and zoning body, the 9-member board appointed by you, for taking their personal time over the last 2 years to not only attend meetings, but research other counties. in regards to that issue that's obviously been highly contentious. I feel that they've been very professional, and they've came to each meeting prepared, willing to speak, willing to give the input, and don't just start opening up their packets as they walk in the door. Those of us that have served on other committees or been involved in the communities have seen that multiple times by other boards and other capacities. And that just does not happen with the 9 members that we have that serve us. Again, we know it's volunteer, they get paid mileage, but I feel that they've really listened to all parts, and ultimately the taxpayer with the concern, and professionally taken that in and then made the recommendations they feel are in the best interest of Buchanan County. Appreciate your attentiveness.
Thank you, Chad. Okay, so we're going to open up the floor to public comment time. I do have an email that came in, and the gentleman said, here are my comments to be read as the readings, please, came from Keith Whelan. He said, let's move forward on the ordinance the way you have it. From the comments of my neighbors and friends, I think you're on target. It sounds like there's a pretty strong opinion and even a petition that you folks are doing right, revising our previous ordinance. The existing ordinance is too loose, and your revisions appear to be more accurately reflect of the will of the people of Buchanan County, and more accurately reflect the good and difficult parts of WECS projects. Also, here are a few more questions to help folks understand where we are on this important topic. Number 1, are the landowners familiar with Iowa title rules? Have the WECS operators, wind companies, insured landowners are familiar with Iowa title rules? The latest revision of the Iowa title rules can be purchased from law libraries near Drake and Iowa colleges. How do title rules and title law affect the contracts currently offered? Number 2, additionally, it is important to make these changes due to the current energy market. Usually, WECS operators in Iowa raise the voltage by combining WECS facilities and transmitting electricity to the Chicago market. The electricity market in Chicago pays higher rates for electricity. From my experience in the oil and gas industry and my experience at the Iowa Utilities Board, the WECS operators should likely have better long-term profit-generating electricity in Iowa and selling it to Chicago markets. Selling electricity in the Chicago market would also be easier to offset periods of low or no wind generating electricity. That's the operator's intent. The Buchanan County folks want Iowa wind generated electricity to be sold in Iowa. The way this ordinance is written addresses those concerns when mandating eminent domain will not be used in Buchanan County. Please have folks contact me if they're having trouble getting the answers. I can help direct them to the folks who know the answers. And if anybody wants this information, I have it.
Chairman, what was the name of that individual and their address?
Keith Whelan.
An address?
Keith Whelan is Winthrop, Iowa. Do you want his telephone number?
No, it's just that we're going to request anybody else that makes a comment to give their name and address. So I think if we read something from somebody else, that needs to be given there.
Okay, sorry, Leo, sorry. Also Buchanan County. And so when you step to the podium, it'll be right over there, right over here. Okay. Please clearly state your name, address, and county. And there will be a 3-minute rule, sorry.
Oh, that's number 1.
No.
My name is Beth Carlson, 3348 Buchanan Avenue, Brandon, Buchanan County. Thank you for having this meeting here at the community center at a time when we who work may have the opportunity to participate in such an important decision for Buchanan County and its residents. I want to express my gratitude for enacting a moratorium that was allowed for thorough research to be done concerning the ordinances needed to govern wind turbines on a commercial
Excuse me,
level.
ma'am. Can you have the microphone a little close to your mouth so they can hear you?
Okay, are we there?
That's better, yeah.
Okay, just keep going or? Okay. I have heard the recommendations that planning and zoning have submitted. I find that they have done due diligence in proposing safe measures for those against our parks, our land, our environment, our wildlife. I see the proposal to be as fair as it can be given the opposing views, and thus I support P&Z's WECS ordinance proposal. I ask you, the Board of Supervisors, to accept P&Z's proposed WECS ordinances that will govern wind turbines at a commercial level. Thank you for your time.
People, when you step forward to the podium, please have the microphone very close to your mouth so that people can hear you. I had somebody once tell me how to eat the microphone, and that's literally how it is. Amanda Miller, 3358 Dugan Avenue, Brandon, Iowa. As of today's date, an Iowa land record search under Boulevard Associates shows only 22 individuals have leases or easements publicly recorded. In the last year, there have been over 800 signatures collected and presented on a petition asking the Board of Supervisors to protect residents by requiring further setbacks, uphold our county's agricultural stands, and require that WECS may only be constructed in areas that are 55 CSR or lower, pinpoint exact locations by allowing turbines to only be constructed in areas that are zoned M for manufacturing, require 100% decommissioning, reduce the allowable level of audible noise. The number of individual residents in this county that are simply asking for stricter rules and regulations on such a large-scale project significantly outnumber those who are reporting as participating. The Planning and Zoning Commission has spent countless hours of research. They've listened to people speak both for and against. The P&Z body has not wavered on their recommendation on the CSR and the zoning requirement to M. As a board, this should speak volumes to you on this committee's commitment to Buchanan County, upholding the comprehensive plan and the county's agricultural stance. Please pass this ordinance.
Good evening, Supervisors. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Danny Heminger. I'm a neighbor from 6219 Meadows Lane, County. The reason I'm here today is I represent approximately 450 construction workers, union construction workers, the Laborers International Union of North America, here in eastern Iowa. Approximately 20 of those members live here in Buchanan County, and I'm not here today to speak for those individuals, but what I am here to do is speak for the work that those individuals perform, and think that there would be an opportunity for them as residents here in Buchanan County to perform some of the work that puts food on their table, provides living for their brothers and sisters, work that is good for everybody here right in their own backyard. With that being said, I feel like it's really an overreach with the CSR rating of 55. I don't know about anybody else sitting out here, but I'm pretty sure that, with the land that I own, I don't want to be told what I can and can't do on that, by my neighbors. I understand that it's a community issue, but those individuals should have the right to do whatever they choose to do with their property, especially if it provides an income, for their family. It's just like anything else that we farm here in Iowa. Let's harvest the sun, let's harvest the wind, good green energy, good green jobs, and landowners have the right to make that decision. So I would say that with the ordinances that we're close tonight, I would ask you to vote against those. Did you go back? Did you find something fair for the residents here? And don't leave Buchanan County behind in this good green energy production world that we are all living in. So thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Clark, 3356 Deacon Avenue, 11 miles southwest of Brandon. I love living there. I do not.
If it helps, just go ahead and hold the speaker. It must, if
I know. Better.
if you lift it out of the holder, hold it, if that helps you too.
I gotta read what I wrote down. At this point, it's your My husband and I own land out there, so I understand that wanting to do what you want to do on your own land, I get that. I really do get that. But not if it affects other people, the wildlife, or the history. If we don't think about the history of the land, then we're not all here, there's a lot of landowners here. We're not gonna own it forever. In my opinion, we have a responsibility to make sure that we take care of it and leave it the way we got it, or we got it.
Thank you.
Judy Albert, Brandon, Iowa, 5210.
And county.
Yeah. As a child, I was taught, as many of you have been to say please, thank you, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, as a sign of respect to your elders, your boss, or even your peers. In today's world, I think the word respect has lost some of its strength and isn't used as much anymore. But I will be using it a time or two in the next couple of minutes. I respect the Board of Supervisors for putting in place a moratorium so that everyone, whether you are for or against wind turbines, can do their research and form their own decision. I respect the Planning and Zoning Committee, and I personally want to say thank you for the giving of your time, efforts, stress, sleepless nights, and strength to get through each meeting, as I know it has not been easy some of the time. I respect that we can all be here tonight and be adults, since this is where the first meeting was held a little over a year ago. For us that are not in favor of wind turbines, I know we would like to be treated with respect, as I'm sure Ned Sarah would like to ask also for respect. Lastly, to the Board of Supervisors, you have a heavy load on your shoulders, and if you do decide to allow the wind turbines to come to Buchanan County, I know you will take both sides into consideration and do it respectfully. Thank you.
I'm Wally Taylor. I live at 2200 South 31st Street, Marion, Iowa, in Dane County. I'm speaking on behalf of the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. The Sierra Club supports wind energy. It provides a cost-effective source of power for communities and industries, and it's a clean and renewable source of energy. We support Buchanan County's effort to adopt a wind energy ordinance. It's very important that we have proper land use guidelines for any big project, like a wind energy project. But we do have some comments about the ordinance that's being proposed. Shadow flicker is defined and is to be assessed, but there's no requirement for what is acceptable shadow flicker. The acceptable shadow flicker is adopted by almost every entity that looks at it, including the American Wind Energy Association, says that the shadow flicker duration should not exceed 30 hours a year or 30 minutes in any given day in the year. So I think that ought to be in the ordinance. The ordinance requires the area where a wind energy project is to be constructed would be rezoned to manufacturing. A wind energy project is not consistent with a manufacturing designation, and rezoning to manufacturing is inappropriate and unnecessary, especially on agricultural land. It should remain agricultural, and the ordinance should provide that wind energy project be zoned as a conditional use. With most counties, I think, that I have seen, do handle that. Regarding the requirement that the wind energy project may not be placed on agricultural land above CSR 55, I think maybe goes a little too far. The 55 CSR is not prime farmland. Other development is certainly allowed on land above 55 CSR. There's no reason wind energy should be treated unequally. Furthermore, this prohibition prevents a landowner from using his or her property as they wish. Property rights are a constitutional right in this country, as long as you're not damaging someone else. And that's the purpose of this ordinance, to make sure that it doesn't harm anybody else. So that has nothing to do with the CSR. That's the person's own property. As far as setbacks, the setback before
John Easter, 319 Stephen Avenue, Brandon, County. Farmers are involved with the production of much more than food. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Iowa leads the nation in ethanol and biodiesel production. And we are the second largest wind energy producer, with more than 60% of our total electricity net generation coming from wind. Iowa's Republican leadership supports wind. Chuck Grassley is known as the father of wind energy, and both Joni Ernst and Ashley Hinton state that they are supportive of all of the above energy strategy, including wind. Governor Reynolds also has supported renewable energy for years and has even been named as a conservative clean energy champion. The PNC Commission are all caring individuals, but they are not elected. The WECS recommendation is just that, a recommendation with little discussion given to wind positives or economic development. I believe it was designed to eliminate wind turbines in Buchanan County through excessive setbacks, manufacturing designation, 55 CSR limitation, fencing on private land, and 100% removal requirements. My husband and I have a farming business, and we don't believe we should be required to ask our community about where we place our crops or what those crops are. We own the land, we pay the property taxes, and that gives us the right to decide what should be done with it. Our fields are our job sites. If we're willing to farm around the wind turbine, that's our business. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We did not consider asking everyone what they thought would be a nice view of our land from their yards. If our county wants to preserve farmland and landowner rights, this ordinance does not do that. The proposed project is around 70 acres, only 0.02% of the total county farmland. Required setbacks will actually force
more land to be taken out of crop production. Let's set them to a balanced level. The manufacturing zoning will make it a permanent change. After the project is complete, the next generation will be forced to go back to planning and zoning in order for it to be rezoned agricultural land so they can farm it. Let's not do that. The 55 CSR limits if the county decides the use of my land. My husband and I come from generations of farmers and farmed our entire lives. We should have that right. For weeks, I've attended supervisor meetings, and our financial situation has come up as a common theme. Wind energy will help our county budget, public schools, and roads. Family farmers also benefit from lease payments and diversification. Please revise or reject this proposed WECS ordinance. Thank you.
Can you hear me? My name is Stacy Apples. Address is 803 South Street, Brandon, Buchanan County. First of all, I want to thank the Planning and Zoning Committee. They have done a tremendous amount of work and really looked at, I can't imagine how many hours they have in, but the resources they've used, they put together a very, very comprehensive plan. And I actually really want to especially point out the importance of the DNR one, the 2 miles from the parks and recreation. I think that's important. The 100% decommissioning and removal of the wind turbines, huge. I'm glad they put that in there. I also like the 55 CSR. I think that's important, and manufacturing. I think that's important as well. And I want to thank them again for their time, and I am asking the supervisors to accept their recommendations. Thank you.
Good evening, can you hear me? I'm Bill Gerhard. I live at 5134 Rapid Creek Road, northeast in rural Johnson County. For 14 years, I was president of the State Building Construction Trades Council. I now work as a business development coordinator for the labor union. Danny, a colleague of mine, the guy that saved your microphone in the ground. A couple minutes ago, I worked with him, and I'm here to urge you not to put into an ordinance anything that would discourage developers from developing wind energy. It's clean energy, it provides good jobs, it provides jobs with health insurance, retirement. And he mentioned 20 laborers in Buchanan County. Well, there's more laborers that work on a wind farm. There's iron workers, there's electricians, there's carpenters, there's cement finishers, there's operators. It's an economic boom for the county to have those people working in the county, making good money. This is a pet peeve of mine. People say, well, what do we care about construction workers? This is just temporary jobs. Well, for those people, it's not temporary jobs. It's part of a patchwork quilt of a career. Once they're here, they move on to another job. You know, it's how they make a living. So, and then on a personal note, I grew up in Western Iowa in a farming community, a lot like Buchanan County, called Audubon County. I lived in Audubon, Iowa. It's a town maybe a little bigger than the town we're in now. 2 years ago, NextEra finished a wind farm there. Now, I have family back there, I have friends back there, I own some property back there. When I go home, I ask how the wind farm went and everything. No one complained about anything. I heard no bad words or anything about the wind farm itself, the turbines, or even the developer NextEra. So anyway, I would encourage you to give considerable thought to this. Please don't do anything to discourage wind farm production. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. My name is Dale Craig, Brandon, 3300 Finley, Buchanan. Thanks for the forum, appreciate it. The recommendation for one heard or unheeded, then must appoint a commission of well-rounded individuals to give an unbiased recommendation to the board of supervisors. If the board of supervisors does not heed or respect the planning and zoning recommendation, then the P and Z are useless and wasting their time and should resign. That's the hard statement to say, given that many of them are my friends, neighbors, and sure-tail relations. Regarding property rights, yes, they have property rights with guidelines, with guidance. Lime Creek runs through my farm, but I can't dam it up, thereby limiting my neighbor's tile drainage downstream. Also, if property rights are so can't read my own writing. If property rights for construction, are that unrestricted, then put up a casino. It will be more fun, more revenue, and more jobs. If everyone else must adhere to the 55 CSR and below for building, everyone should and must for our soil, our wildlife, and our children. It's only mine for 60 years. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Greg German. I live at 33-117, 208th Street, Mesa, Iowa, live in Buchanan County. I don't have anything for not speaking or anything like that. We own ground in Buchanan County and Clayton County. As far as rights for a farm owner, you have the right to do with your ground as you please. As far as the 55 CSR, that's the effect for these turbines. These turbines are going to be built on top of hills. So that's my knowledge, on top of hills, not the best railroad anywhere that I know of. And if you guys vote for this, what's going to come next? Well, these hog buildings going to be being commercialized too, to where they're going to be rezoned. Please vote no for this.
Hello, I'm Robin Belfield. I live at 3138 Blackhawk Buchanan Avenue in Buchanan County. Even though it doesn't sound like it. I want to thank the Planning and Zoning Committee for everything they've done. They've worked really hard. I don't understand why there are people here from outside of our county having any opinion on this. And I would encourage the supervisors to please accept the recommendations from the Planning and Zoning. Thank you.
Carla Nielsen, 3216 Carter Avenue, Brandon, Iowa, Buchanan County. First of all, I would like to thank the PMC committee for their countless hours devoted to the potential wind turbines that are being proposed in our community and surrounding areas and listening to the residents of Buchanan County. I live in rural Brandon on Gravel Road, where more than one landowner in the near vicinity has signed agreements to potentially have wind turbines constructed if approved. Essentially, our homestead would be surrounded by these. One of the many things I love most about country living is our beautiful view. It saddens me that these large wind turbines were to go up, we would lose that beautiful view we once had. It also saddens me that these large blades will potentially be the culprit of loss of wildlife. Other concerns are the noise that these inflict and potential light flicker. As a landowner, I understand the importance of owning your land and being able to do things on your land as you choose. But even more than that, as a landowner, I understand the importance of taking into consideration how my choices of what I do with my land can have significant impacts on my neighbors. Because of this, I support the proposed ordinance. Finally, I would like to thank the Buchanan County Board of Supervisors for their countless hours in this matter as well. Thank you.
I'm Brandon, 1 Mile Street, east here. Good job, you guys making all the rules and stuff. Chad, I wouldn't have your job for nothing. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff. You want to keep windmills 2 miles from the park? I want one 600 feet from my house. You know what I'm saying? I have a friend, banker, he has 300 property. They tore down the house that's across the road. Anybody live there? He said the hay grows half the rate. Oh, sorry. So the hay around the towers is in there all the time. The hay grows half the salt and half the touch. And honestly, I would tell my friend, this is just another government scam. Just all the money. Thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Tom Trahern. I'm with Next Era Energy. I guess I'm the one that's been causing all of the concerns and questions as we've been working in the county over the last couple of years. My address is 3484 Barnsley Circle, Marion, Iowa, Lynn County. So I'm just south of here. I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for putting this together. I understand it's, part of the process.
Tom, if it helps, just grab the microphone out of the holder. You kind of walk back and forth, so.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so anyway, I'm here this evening, as you're probably aware, to express some disappointment in the recommendation that came out of the Planning Commission and the ordinance that's under consideration. While not unexpected, considering we attended all the meetings, we feel compelled to voice our concerns regarding the proposed ordinance, particularly in potential to just simply eliminate future wind projects in Buchanan County. Our hope was an ordinance would be developed which establishes fair and balanced guidelines, protecting both private property rights and the public interests. An ordinance that would, at a minimum, provide the opportunity for a project to be built. However, as currently proposed, the ordinance poses significant obstacles that would effectively block a wind project from being developed in Buchanan County. The requirement for rezoning to manufacturing presents substantial challenges for both companies like ours and the landowners, as was expressed earlier. Additionally, the CSR 55 restriction and the 4.5 times turbine height setback would make it essentially impossible to sign a project in the county. We had anticipated that the commission would consider concerns raised in our letter submitted on February 28th and create a more balanced approach that allows responsible development. None of the considerations that we provided were looked at or even made note of. Unfortunately, that's not the case. While we understand there are differing opinions within the county, we believe it's essential to hear and weigh all perspectives in making decisions that impact the county's future. We have evidence that our wind project has support in Buchanan County. There's been supporters here this evening. We urge the Board of Supervisors to take this into account as you're deliberating this evening. I think it is important to note that these meetings have been big. I appreciate everybody's comments at work or comments and considerations that we've been through it. It's difficult for folks to come in and stand up here and speak on behalf of what they'd like to see happen. So every time we've been to public meetings, supporters are very difficult to hear because it's a frustrating experience for them to stand up and have to deal with that. I will say that NextEra Energy's got a record of investing in our communities that we develop in. As an example, we're a member of the local economic development.
Hi, my name is Lauren Hamilton, 2004 Gentry Avenue. I don't do a lot of public speaking, but I thought I better get up here tonight. So I want to thank the Planning and Zoning Committee for all of the work that they have put in on this, and I urge the supervisors to pass this with the new recommendations. We do not need to allow wind turbines into Buchanan County. Many of the possible landowners probably wouldn't even live there, so they have to see them every day for the rest of their lives and probably their kids' lives. And one thing I can say about the wildlife, I'm not sure that there's actually an accurate count on how many birds get killed by these wind turbines. I believe that if you were to bring it to a vote of everyone in Buchanan County, there's no way that this county would ever have wind turbines. Thank you very much.
Good evening, I'm Pam Mackey Taylor. I live at 2200 South 31st Street in Marion. I'm the director of the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. I'm speaking on behalf of our members in Buchanan County, particularly a large number of members in Independence and Jessup. And I'd like to address the setback, the 4.5 times the height of wind energy system for neighboring dwellings is unnecessary and excessive. And we would recommend you reducing that to 1,000 to 1,200 feet. We believe that's more appropriate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy, 13842 McShane Road, Oklahoma City, technically Blackhawk County, right on the county line. 26 years of living, working, and playing in Buchanan County, so I think I have a right to speak to this issue. We are approximately 1/2 mile from several signed leases. The setbacks have been a very important part of the WECS ordinances, and because participating and non-participating landowners both deserve fair treatment concerning placement of wind turbines. The proposed setback of 4.5 times the height of the turbine is, in my opinion, the minimum and is fair. With a maximum turbine height of 600 feet, that works out to about 1/2 mile. Also, according to a quote in the Cedar County News in Nebraska from Gene Caldwell, NextEra senior manager, he suggested 1/2 mile as well. All people, livestock, and wildlife should be afforded the 1/2 mile at the very least. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to 35 Cross Avenue, Brandon, a couple miles north of here. I want to thank you guys for the forum tonight. I understand and respect everybody's feelings on this matter, both for and against. But I'm going to implore you to give this some more discussion. I think you're being too constrictive. There's a gentleman that mentioned about the manufacturing designation, and if this passes, like you got it, where does that open the door for other agricultural, like the corporate style log buildings? I've got 13 of them within a 3-mile radius of my
my farm. Grew up living on the farm that I live on now. I've been there 47 years. I don't, you know, the smell of hogs, the smell of cattle, it's all second nature to me. But when the bigger buildings came in, nobody asked my opinion or anyone else because it was their operation. They were getting bigger, they were progressing. I feel Buchanan County is not looking for keeping up with the current progressions, if I might say. You're looking at a lot of, I drive truck all over the state in places that's got wind turbines old and new, and you can definitely tell the difference in the roads. The counties that's got wind turbines have much better roads. You might not notice it in your car or your pickup, but in a semi, you definitely know the difference from a good road from a crap road. The 55 CSR is another issue I've got. One of the meetings I was at Falcon Civic Center, the P&Z Commission happily approved rezoning some ag land that was in the high 80s or low 90s, I can't exactly remember, for someone to build a fancy house out by the golf course on. And at that meeting, somebody made the recommendation that we had to be fair for everybody. Well, that house is not going to produce any income for anybody in the county, whereas wind turbines benefit more so than what people are allowing them to take credit for, I guess. The landowner gets a benefit off it, the county residents get benefits off of it, schools get benefits off of it. And I really think you guys are kicking this back and forth with all these restrictive. Sorry, thanks.
I'm Tim Russell, 2459 First Street, Southwest Cedar Rapids. My wife and I own quite a bit of property here in Buchanan County. We happily pay taxes. I grew up on a farm just north of Raleigh, still own the property. I feel like we pay the taxes, we should be able to do what we like with the land. Driving here tonight, we saw a lot of big grain bins. Right up the road here to the north is a big grain setup, big machine sheds. They put that on property to make money. Wind turbines are going to make us money so we can pay our property taxes. It's going to create a lot of money for the county. The county engineer was telling me several years ago what his budget was for bridges. Your county falls way short. These wind turbines will create a lot of income to help replace bridges, build your new schools, like the schools. I think your restrictions of 55 CSR should be put on everything. New housing developments, schools, machine sheds, whatever you're doing. If you have to have 80 feet to climb up on a turbine, well, maybe your grain legs ought to be the same way, and a grain bin. So if you're going to put restrictions on, put it on everything. Thank you.
Adam Michaels, 1647 280th Street here in Buchanan County. Hear a lot of opposition to these recommendations tonight from outside the county and a very little bit from inside the county. Hearing a lot of support for these recommendations from inside the county and very little from outside the county. I attended several of the planning and zoning meetings, and personally I was frankly quite impressed with the amount of work that these folks put into coming up with their recommendations. They put a lot of countless hours into studying other counties and coming up with reasonable numbers. The size of the setbacks, you go out west in the unpopulated areas where they first started putting up windmills, these setbacks are tiny compared to those. Personal property rights, I buy the property across the street from your house, want to put in a racetrack, your opinion will change quickly. Thank you. Bob Q, 2342 Buchanan Avenue. The house resides in Benton County, and our property is in Buchanan County, our farmland. It's a responsibility of Board of Supervisors and Planning and Zoning Committee of the Iowa Code, and is in and out many times in the comprehensive plan to protect the soils of Buchanan County and the health and safety of the county citizens. And we know that we've heard stories, many different things. There's a lot of reference to the safety and hazards and all the stuff that comes with termites. And nowhere have I heard the words food, fiber, and livestock, which is part of our comprehensive plan. And nowhere does the wind turbine support that and produce that. So I fully support the P&Z's recommendations. They've done a lot of hard work, and it's an 9-0 vote. They represent the county, and they put in the county, and it's not a company out of Florida, and it's not lobbyists that are out of the county as well. So support P&Z. Thank you.
My name is Pam Roster. I live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We own farmland in Buchanan County. The one point that I'd like to share is people say that we're taking lots of farmland out of farming. And to put up a wind turbine, I understand it uses 1/2 acre of land. And according to the 2022 agricultural profile of Buchanan County, we presently have 361,692 farmland acres. They're talking about putting up 60 or 70 windmills. So we're talking maybe 35 acres. So please support the windmills.
My name is Rick Seaman, 2328 300th Avenue, Earlville, Iowa. I'm one of those people that aren't from the county, but me and my son each chose to buy property in Buchanan County. Right now, right after I bought the property, interest rates went up, grain prices went down. I could use the revenue. But right now, my son and grandson are working at planting the corn, and I need to get back to helping them with that. Right now, I don't feel very welcome in this county, having moved or purchased land in the county here. Thank you.
Preserve 3366 Buchanan, Buchanan County. When it comes time for decommissioning, next area wants to replace only 4 feet of topsoil and removing the wind turbine, instead of returning land to its original condition as it planned. For each turbine, they want to leave concrete weighing up to 1,800 tons and 165 tons of rebar in the ground forever. Don't forget, we're talking about 7 of them. They should not be allowed to leave these environmentally damaging scars behind. The WECS ordinance recommendation 3624
Also, on there's the removal of the planning commission of wind turbine. We appreciate the amount of time and thought the PZ committee has put into the WECS ordinance, and we support the WECS and ask the board of supervisors to do the same. Thank you.
Michelle for 39001 Spring Creek Road in Port Seattle, Blackhawk County. I am a Buchanan County landowner. I do support the WECS ordinance recommendations of 2024. Thank you.
Under 3366 Buchanan Avenue, Brandon, Buchanan County. The WECS was heard by the Buchanan County Planning and Zoning Commission to make sure that the county, the productive soil, and the people who live or live here are protected from the effects of wind turbines. I ask that all three members of the Board of Supervisors take into consideration the time, effort, and research put in by every member of the P&Z Commission, and the fact that this WECS recommendation was unanimously supported by the P&Z. We support the WECS written by the Commission, and we ask that you each support and vote to adopt the WECS tonight and on the next two Wednesday meetings. Thank you.
I'm David Boyce. I live at 12132 Rickard Road, Jessup, Iowa, which unfortunately is just over the line in Blackhawk County, not in Buchanan County. I heard several people tonight, my sympathies here are against wind turbines. But I think that farmers have a lot more to be concerned about than wind turbines. For example, a recent study published in the Journal of Scientific Reports found that by 2050, corn yields are predicted to decrease by 69 to 89, 39 to 68%, and soybean yields should decrease by 86 to 92%. Another study by the Environmental Defense Fund that focused on Iowa found that corn yields are predicted to continue to increase by 2030, but they will be 5 to 25% lower than they would be without climate change. Corn yields are also predicted by 2050 to be at least 10% less than they would be without climate change. If these predictions have any chance of being correct, farmers should be very concerned. Wind turbines will be the least of their concerns. There is an ordinance that will not discourage wind turbines in Buchanan County.
Hello, my name is Andrea Schmecke, 203 Miller Street, Brandon, Buchanan County. I just like to thank the P&Z committee for all the work that they have done, and I urge board supervisors to take their recommendations. I know that we support them here. Thank you. Good evening, 3300 Finley Avenue, Brandon, Buchanan County. I've had several questions regarding these vague promises that have been spoken tonight regarding what jobs are being created, titles, salaries, and location. What are some of those tax revenue benefits that they're talking about? Or what about benefits to the community None of those are listed. These statements have been extremely vague, in my opinion. Please listen to residents, neighbors, and your constituents who elected you, and not pass to landowners and lobbyists. Please follow the P&Z recommendations who did their due diligence and their time and effort on researching other counties and what they're doing, and on research on this vast topic. Please accept those recommendations from the P&Z, and thank you for your time.
My name is Kelly Berta, and I actually live out of County. I live at 4194 Pilgridge Road in Lynn County, for the foreign peoples here in Buchanan County. I spent the first 2 decades of my life living on the railroads out here, and I'm proud to say that the quality farm around this county raised me and sent me to college. I am discussion and I'm paying information going for all the hard work that they've done. And I urge you guys to continue to protect our environment for the next generation, for my kids, for my husband and nephews, for people who take great pride in that farming. And thank you.
My question is that I would like everyone in favor of these recommendations, please stand. That is you. Thank you very much.
My name is Wyatt Miller. I live on Buchanan Avenue, Southtown. Okay. I've been to most all your meetings for the last year, except for recently. And I appreciate everything that everybody's done. You guys put a lot of time and effort into all this. And I approve what P&Z is bringing towards you. It's not the first time this has come around, and I hope it's the last time. And, you know, we've heard a lot of comments and things from people from out of town, out of county, that are for it. And I don't care if you're a landowner that lives outside of county. If you own land in Buchanan County, you gotta run by Buchanan County rules and regulations. Just like putting a hog building up. You can't put it up anywhere. You gotta go through planning and zoning to be able to do it. So, I just.
So you know you don't know.
But anyway,
Enough.
I just appreciate your help and your, all the effort you put through your boards, and thank you.
Sandy Hopkins, 3377 Buchanan Avenue, miles out brand here. I've lived my whole life, raised hogs, stinky things. Neighbors never had anything bad to say, and I can't believe that we're sitting here arguing over CSR and stuff like that. People, the misinformation that's come out in this whole thing, it's like the first speaker, the guy that talked, saying that our electricity go to Chicago. Come on. The misinformation of this whole thing is very disappointing. The people would know the facts and knowing, like the Sahara Club in Cedar Rapids. I work for the power company, and they're shutting down our coal plant in Cedar Rapids because of that. Now, we are going to need wind or solar or something. And I guess these regulations, stuff, setbacks and all this, I'm saying, don't approve this, go back to the board, do something reasonable. This, I mean, I can't get one of these things, but to lose to my ground, I paid for it. I pay the taxes on it, and now I think the community wants to have community control of my farm. That's not acceptable. So please don't pass it. Go back to the board and get something that's good for everybody. Thank you.
If there's no further speakers, I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
Yes, I'm listening.
C4 362 Buchanan Avenue, Buchanan County. I urge you to accept the proposal and update our WECS ordinance as proposed.
That's really tall. Yeah, go ahead, pull it out and adjust it to your height.
I'm Carrie Buchanan, 3232 Iowa Avenue, Buchanan County. I am a lifelong Buchanan County resident. Unfortunately, my husband couldn't be here tonight, so I'm speaking for our entire family. We're going to pass these ordinances. It's good for everyone. It's just good for the environment. We need to protect our future generations. We need to have 100% removal. We need to keep our 55 CSR. We need to keep that ground as farm ground. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? I believe there's a motion on the table.
Okay, I'll second that motion to close public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, I'd like to say a few things. I'd like to address a few comments. Thank you, privilege. There was a comment made about the PNC being elected, and I am so thankful that that is not an elected board. Because elected officials, they get campaign financing. And I would hate to think what would happen if the PNC had campaign financing. It would be a wrap. I live in Washington DC every day, it's a wrap. There was also a comment about people now that would be in favor of wind and green energy and stuff like that, not getting up and wanting to support talking in front of people. I happened to have been at a coffee meeting that was held at a fairground, and there was a lot of people that were for solar that got up and spoke, and they were all out of that area, and none of them had to live around that solar field. So they were shy, and I'm pretty sure that the women people that are already are shy either.
Okay, I got a few things to say here. First first of all, there's some things here that, first of all, I guess I appreciate with the P and Z board that they put a lot of work in this and stuff, and, they are advisory board to the board of supervisors, so, it's my right to be able to question about some of the things that they have proposed. And I am one of the elected officials of this county. Things I have to say here tonight are going to be appreciated by both sides, the yeas and the nays. What I have to say tonight. First of all, a few years back, especially when I first came on the board of supervisors, I was very happy to hear that wind turbine had to be torn down up at Fairbank. Because I didn't believe in wind turbines, and I didn't want to see them in this town, and I hated to look at them. But since being a supervisor, I have to weigh out all options and take all things under consideration to be balanced. That's what my job is, to be balanced and fair for all the citizens of this county. The WECS has weighed heavy on my mind and consumed much time doing research, listening to the yeas and the nays, concerns which have been very extensive and with very legitimacy. I have made side visits to other counties, multiple counties, spent a lot of weekends, time driving around, talking to farmers, residents of the counties, county officials. So I have not taken this lightly. I have really been doing my research and studying on this. Also, I'd like to not go with saying work efforts of the zoning department and commissioners have been tremendous. Property rights, both private and community, must be evaluated, and there's no need to review these because these have all been brought up multiple times, and we've all heard them in many of our meetings. So I don't need to sit here and repeat it tonight. As an elected county supervisors and working with the department heads to provide adequate services and maintain infrastructure is a challenge, especially with large rising inflation costs and property tax levy restrictions put on us by the legislation and governor. And flat other taxes such as sales, fuel, and unfunded mandates put on us. Even though it is a graduating up tax on WECS for several years until they get to the top taxing, are missing a tax revenues that would be very beneficial not only to the county but other taxing entities, especially schools. Should there be an emphasis on how are the rising future electrical demands going to be met, and where will it come from? These are predictions. I'm going to repeat here. Predictions are there's going to be a 30% increase in the near future on electric demands. And also predictions that fossil fuels will be depleted by the year 2060, based on current and future usage. Question posed, where does the power go? I pose the same question, where does ethanol go? And not being a food product, but an energy fuel product. Many have said, and I believe with truth, which should not be happening, which would not be happening without subsidies. But the same could be said about farming if all farmers could exist without subsidies also. I believe food is essential for survival, but electricity is essential also. I have some things that go through here with some of the recommendations, some questions and things that I'm going to pose here that maybe Chad would like to answer or one of his P&Z members would like to answer. Going into the WECS zoning amendment, D, procedures, location of all known communication towers within 2 miles of proposed WECS Are these FCC rules on this? You know, Chad?
No, it would,
Right.
Where are you at?
That's on under procedures 5 dash IX location. That's D.
H3.
Sorry, I didn't write the pages down. So this would fall under the review of current RIC local affairs here. And any type of cell tower that's permitted in the past or present in the county is always reviewed to make sure that there's no interference with any communication towers within the county. So whatever GPS location the tower would be proposed at, those would go to Rick and Chris's office. They, Evan, with his mapping abilities, would review that and determine the communication with whoever the applicant may be to confirm that there would be no interference with those communication towers.
Is that part of another ordinance?
They do have an ordinance,
Yes, I think it's part of another ordinance.
Usually it all starts in my office, so. Okay, thank you for explaining that. I might have interest to some of the audience members out here also. Next, and here again, I apologize, I don't have the page number. I'll read up the district regulations. 3B, see nothing for requiring security fencing around a substation or collection station. And I'm sure that when these stations are put in, they probably have to meet electrical code requirements, and I imagine no big insurance company would probably say that they have to be also. But I just wonder if maybe that should be put in there, that an adequate fencing can be placed around the substations and collection stations areas. I don't think that's in there.
So currently, a new substation or cell tower, we just did one with Harold Freeman here not too long ago, along with the guide wires have to be fenced. So here, are you referring to another part of the ordinance, another apparatus other than the
Well,
WECS?
this would be part of the WECS, that's what I call a collection station, where the power is brought into from the
Substations.
Yes.
So the most recent substation that was built in the county before I came back was on Ottawa Boulevard, Moxie Access Boulevard. And that was in the year zone manufacturing district, and then it was required to have a fence around it. And those are all discussion points that commonly happen at the P&D body and recommendations that come to your body before it's done.
And next thing is on table 2 on setbacks, the net towers. I was wondering why somebody from P&Z could address this. On the net towers, it's that they want 1.5 times setbacks. But a lot of our communication towers are sitting right next to the right way.
Pre-zoning. Almost 99% of them were established pre-zoning or pre any ordinance in regards to our cell towers. So I state the same thing as soon as I took the job and started looking at it back in 2011. And you drive past one on this road, 330th, and it could fall right on top of you, or across the land property line for sure.
Yeah. So, in the future, these communications towers will require that this additional setback.
Any new ones would meet the regulations of our current ordinance, what needs to be adopted. And then some of them, just like the one in Quasi that I brought to your attention here roughly a year ago, it was not in our jurisdiction. It was close to our county line, and that was designed by the engineer to break in thirds if it would happen to be damaged.
Thank you. Next thing I think that's kind of a little bit, I don't believe needs to be done is fencing requirement, the additional fencing requirement. If we have signage that's posted on the entry area that there is no authorized personnel and there's no trespassing put up, I think that's sufficient. I think the fencing requirement around the turbine area is unneeded or unnecessary.
And that would be on page 7, for those in the audience that have a copy under security, talk about climbing apparatus. In regards to where that came from, I can look that up as well.
But in the other counties that I visit, so I see no additional fences put around in any of the counties I visited and been here.
So it's across from Monona County, page 75 and 76, minutes on December 6, page 4. From my interpretation, you can look at that as twofold. If you're an insurance salesman and you're looking at potentially deterring any type of claims on the WECS itself, you're trying to deter anybody that would potentially vandalize it or try to enter it, etc. And again, we all know that anybody's been by the courthouse in the past 5 years, remember the green paint, and people do some odd stuff.
Impacts on number 10, impacts on public infrastructure. And so there again, and making number on that, I just drove down page 8.
Page 8, number 10.
It's very great. I don't think there's anything in there about the pre and the post road condition assessment. It should be done by, I believe, by a licensed civil engineer or firm at the cost of the WECS owner. I think there should be done some pre-assessment of the road condition before all this heavy road hauling happens on these roads.
So, I'll give you the second paragraph addresses that with Brian Kaiser. Again, you know, as we talked about this topic over the past 2 years, not only is my office going to need to be involved, but we need to have every other department involved with, you know, we've already talked about communication towers. Chris and Rick would need to be heavily involved. And as far as the haul routes, WECS owners and or their contractors shall contact the county engineer a minimum of 6 months prior to starting any work within the county. And we've also heard over the past year, Next Era's, this is Vicki, she representative works with the engineering firm. She said most of the time when they move into your area, she becomes best friends with the county engineer. And that would take place with Brian. He would then report back to me and would involve the board of supervisors to ensure that all of our roads, bridges, and infrastructure is taken care of. So it really comes down to the assessment and the estimation of our county engineer.
Next thing, and this has been brought up different times at multiple meetings on the decommissioning. When these are being constructed, the dirt, the soil is being hauled out. So when decommissioning happens, you know, there's 100% removal done, and soil has to be brought back in. There's nothing stated in here that says that they can just haul sand in there and fill the hole back up with sand.
So that, in my opinion, the interpretation of myself would be that has to take place with communication between the potential owner operator, Next Era, and the landowner on maybe they're going to keep the soil and use it as a terrace or a berm, keep all the spoils and then use it back whenever the turbine itself, if that's 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, or there's an agreement. Obviously, sand would not be the same subbase as probably what's there in most of our county is, you know, 6 to 8 to 12 inches of good black dirt or more, and then it starts to turn to clay at about 3 feet.
I just hope that anybody that gets an agreement or contracts or anything, that they know what they're getting into on something like this and they protect their soil that they have there. Next item is underneath number 11, financial security review by the county auditor. I'm kind of questioning on this if our auditor feels that she has the time in her office and expertise to perform this financial security review.
It's certificate of liability that comes in with every contracted job that we have. Those are on file. So if we have a contract for a paved road that the county roads is doing, I get the certificate of liability. Been that way for years. Thank you.
And I kind of disagreement here. The 3-year reviews, I believe in that's okay, but I think the 130% is a little bit excessive. I'd rather see something like 110%.
I will add, that's something that we did in our county attorney's office review and make sure that they reviewed other counties in regards to 130% out. And if you want to, I can delegate the microphone to Josh. I actually don't have too much to add to that. I did review several counties, specifically with this portion of the ordinance in question, and 130% was not something that was uncommon. And discussion with Chad seemed like and I would address one other thing, your comment about staffing. No matter, what department that we're talking about, whether it's the auditor, the engineer, Chris, here at office, Rick Wolf's office, and especially ours, if a project of this nature would be applied for and potentially permitted, the realistic thing that will happen is we're going to have to add employees. We talked about that during the past couple budgeting years. And maybe in the first process of potential budgeting, we look at potentially a temporary or a part-time individual to help process the turbines themselves. But then we have to look at potential issues moving forward, just like we did on Monday. If 67 or 70 of them are constructed, we're obviously going to have some concerns from the public. And then we take myself to address those. Somebody else has to go out and install or see the installation of septic system, wells, and everything else that our office does. There's no doubt we'll obtain all work. There's no doubt about that. On behalf of our staff here in the county. Moving past the recommendations, there are these sections and stuff like that. A few more things I'd like to say. Albert Einstein, energy rule determination. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Total amount of energy in the universe stays the same. And as now, this has not been disproven. So question, how can WECS be declared manufacturing because of this? And if so, why not call it WEMS, Wind Energy Manufacturing System? Did anyone know when you purchased your property that the prospect of wind turbines would and could be placed on your property and income received and based on your purchase, that possibility? I don't think anybody knew that this possibility was going to come along probably when you purchased your property. I know for some property of higher value that the window wants to. There is some property that there was a widow in this county that wants
here that wants to sell her property to a prospective buyer. The buyer is delayed purchasing that because of the potential of wind turbines in the area, so she's not getting her sold property sold because of potential of wind turbines there, so I think this affects the value of properties immensely. I'd also like to say I live in a very much rural area and love the environment and beauty of farming and maintaining my ground. Sitting in my backyard, fishing by river bank, and one hunting in my timbers and fields, as many of you do. And I ask the naysayers to please consider these thoughts of many. As I believe in the beginning, the only way to give this issue a fair shake and to lay a good updated foundation for any future zoning ordinance amendment was to do a review of the many-year-old comprehensive land use plan. I have found many professionals and officials that agree greatly with these thoughts. To me, the cart was put in front of the horse, and many have stated to me that they've been more accepting of these amendments to the ordinance if this would have been done prior to it. Another thing I believe I wish next year should have had a dialogue with the board of supervisors and the county officials about the present standards of the comprehensive land plan and ordinance before dangling the carrot. And for sure, the 55 CSR. My wish is that we all get past this controversial issue topic and have a friendly civil county to live in and enjoy. Life is short, and we should all be grateful for what we have today. Thank you.
Well, okay. Just the manufacturing, I don't know, everybody's like upset about this manufacturing, and manufacturing is not gonna make it so that section of ground pays more taxes because there's a winter on it. So it's not gonna have any negative connotation for NextEra. What it does is it helps our planning and zoning and our GIS people actually be able to pinpoint exactly where that winter it is. So it's a tool for us. And it's also disorder as manufacturing. And I ain't gonna, John, I'm sorry, but I ain't gonna thank planning and zoning for the great job they did. I watched the process for the whole thing. I watched them be badgered, belittled by some members of the audience at times. And I'm just very thankful they stuck through it. And it was my recommendation that we accept what they put in front of us. I'd like to have a second on that. We can have further discussion and tweak the motion if we need it.
Discussion after the second, like what we should do in city council.
I want to thank everybody that attended down here. I know it's inconvenience to sometimes have to go to something like this, and you can't always say what you want to say. But I appreciate it. And I certainly appreciate the hard work of planning and zoning commission. They really worked really hard and put a lot of pressure on them. And they feel the burden of what their decisions led up to. And Chad, I think, has done a great job documenting all the processes that this commission has done over the past few years. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mentioned to Clayton and Dawn, quite a while ago, that this is one situation I never thought we were going to be entered into, but here we are, and we're having to make some serious decisions. With that, I really went back and forth on this whole issue. It could be a real economic impact for our county to have these turbines, but I think we need to eliminate some of the restrictions. The biggest one I see was on page 7 with fencing requirements around the actual turbine. It's F3B. I think that really needs to go away. The other thing, and was brought up by one of our guests here, we do have the shadow flicker statement in there, but I think there needs to be some sort of duration put to that so that we have something solid to go on.
Would you like to say code? There's already a code I think on there, isn't there?
We don't have it in our ordinance. With that, I would like to modify Dawn's motion to approve the recommendations of the planning and zoning with the modification of removing the fencing requirements on page 7, F3B, and then also putting in a shadow flicker standard as measurable.
Does anybody know what that measurement is? I thought somebody had said.
We saw something in our,
So many hours per year.
I was thinking that we saw something in it, when he said that 30 hours, I remember seeing something like 30 hours per year.
30 is the number.
30 is the number, isn't it?
30 is the number, but I want to make sure that we have the correct length of time. And I can do some research on the industry standards, and then we can talk about it in the second read with that as an option.
30 minutes a day, 30.
I will send it.
Second.
And send it.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I have a discussion. As you can tell, I'm not real shy about talking. First thing I want to bring up a point, and when I say this, you'll see why I'm saying this, is because all of us board of supervisors, each one of us sit on several boards and commissions, whether it be local or regional. For example, John sits on the mental health board, several other ones. John is actually chairman of the Upper Watershed Authority. He's an officer and leader in that organization. And I have leadership roles in several boards and commissions that I'm on, being on executive boards, or an officer. So we all set on these other things, and when we do, a lot of these are nonprofits, and we make contributions and donations to them with the county dollars because they serve a public purpose. I'd like to go on further and say I have been pre-warned by legal counsel that, by the way, and believe me, this has been brought up in public comment time at our board of supervisors meetings, so I didn't know it would lead to this, about me sitting on the Buchanan County Economic Development Board, which I'm on that executive board and I'm vice chair. I've been pre-warned by legal counsel that, by the way, I may vote on this ordinance amendment has the potential to have legal proceedings brought against me and Oakland County, and my personal correspondence opened up for review and the contacts I have made with next year, because I am a member of the Buchanan County Economic Development Commission and on the executive board and vice chairman. The next era has paid a membership fee to Buchanan County Economic Development. I have always took a fair and balanced review of issues I deal with and vote on. It has been said and got back to me that an intercog was hired to guide and manage a review of the comprehensive land use plan. I would have influence of the outcome because I am on the regional board and as the county representative on that board.
Also, I recommend a few people to be on the diverse fields to be on the comprehensive plan use plan committee when reviewing the comprehensive land use plan. It had been said, got back to me that I was trying to stack the deck. This is all hogwash and plain wrong. So tonight, on this brief reading, I am abstaining from voting on this issue. To not put the county or myself through hell. The naysayers to rent generation have silenced my vote. As one of your elected officials, it is a sad time for democracy in Buchanan County. Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, I'm going to ask all in favor.
Wait. Can I just want to repeat what the motion is to ensure it is correct, and then I need to ask for a roll call, please.
Okay.
Okay, so John made the motion to accept the recommendation of the WECS with the removal under the security 3B on the fencing. And then with an addition to add the shadow flicker requirements. Duration, thank you. And Mr. Beatty will research that and get that to us, and we will get this updated.
And can we have that updated, like, as soon as possible so we can have it in your office?
It will be posted on the website as soon as I get the recommendation or the updated.
Okay.
I need roll call for the resolution, please. Or
First, I.
Vogel, aye.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, Clinton seconding.
All in favor?
All right. Thank you, everybody, for